This basic could make or break your recruiting efforts. This is part 5 of Recruiting Basics, Foundations for Athletic Scholarship Success. This is the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, episode number 201. Welcome to the world's longest running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. I'm Jon Fugler. As an athletic scholarship coach and a recruiting author, I want to help you as a family succeed in the recruiting world and get a scholarship for your student athlete. I'm the dad of 2 scholarship athletes myself and also the founder of Recruit Me. Our sponsor is the Athletic Scholarship 24-month recruiting planner and journal, your all-in-one resource for successful recruiting experience. It's available on Amazon, so go get it. Hey, action produces traction, and this weekly 15-minute podcast is all about that, helping you take action that will produce attraction towards your athletic scholarship. In fact, it'll change your athletic scholarship future. You can find every episode on your favorite podcast app, or you can go on to my website, recruitme.com. So go for it. And also go for the freebie I've got for you. It's the Recruiting Power Pack. And you can't lose with this. Test it out. Take a taste and see if what I tell you really works. I give you 3 things in there. It's for every high school sports family. Would you go get this at recruitme.com? First steps to an athletic scholarship. It'll help you understand the first 4 things you need to do right away. It's going to coincide with what we've been talking about here with Recruiting Basics. It's like a companion to this. It's a PDF download, absolutely free. And then I've got when and how to use video. This is actually an audio tutorial on how you can take this valuable tool called video and do it right. And the third is a sample of what we're going to talk about today, your player profile or resume. This is the template. You got to have it, and it'll make your homework assignment after this episode a lot easier. This is the most important document recruiting tool that you'll put together. And so that's why I say it's a make or break foundation, a basic that I'll have for you today. So get the Recruiting Power Pack at recruitme.com, recruit-me.com. I had to just totally yell and scream about that because I haven't talked about it in a while. And you got to have it if you're in this for business, all right? So go get it and get things going. Now we're going to talk about this recruiting basic I mentioned at the outset of the show. By the way, did you do your homework last week? Did you? Did you get done what I asked you to do? And you say, well, Jon, what did you ask me to do? I'm not going to tell you. You got to go back and listen. No, I will tell you. I asked you to put together your first draft of your intro email to coaches. Did you do that? Oh, last week and this week are so key because we're talking about making a great first impression on coaches. And these 2 documents that I'm talking to you about, that's what's going to do it. Go back and get that intro email draft done. I explained exactly how to do it. And I encourage you to please go get it done. If you haven't heard the episode, go back and listen to it. Last week and this week, as far as recruiting basics, they go hand in hand. Like hand in glove, like left foot and right foot, all those things. It's all part of the intro packet. And this week, I'm going to talk about building your 1-page profile or resume is what I call it. You know, you've written your email, as I mentioned, and you'll use it as a model for all the other emails that you send to schools, personalized to each school, of course. I mentioned that. And your next task is to create your player profile or your resume. It might be the first one you've ever written. But as I've already mentioned, it's probably the most important piece you will ever send a coach. We talk about taking the initiative. Well, taking the initiative with what? Do I just give a call or what do I do? No, you got to put something in the coach's hands. You got to put something in their inbox. And this profile, this resume, is a key tool. It is part of the handshake that you want to have in the initial conversation, the initial contact with a coach, because this profile will either attract a coach or cause him or her to set it aside. It's a key document. You got to make sure you do this right, and we're going to go through that in this episode. Parents, let me just speak to you, and it's mostly parents listening to this podcast anyway. This is another place where you need to provide guidance and direct involvement with your son or daughter. So here are the things that you need to include in your one-page profile. I divided into 10 sections. One of the disadvantages of doing a podcast, when I talk about this, no visuals. No visuals. However, I already said go to my website, go ahead and pull down the player profile template. You can do that right now. In fact, you can stop this episode, stop it right now, and then go get that and come back and listen to the rest because it'll make a whole lot more sense. I'll try to do what I can. If you don't have time to go download that, I'll try to do what I can to explain this so you can imagine. So imagine one sheet, one page with certain things on there, 10 sections. You can create this by using as a Word document and then save it as a PDF so it can't be changed. Each section is a separate box. I like a text box you can put in this document. Again, you could go ahead and download the template that I have for you at recruitme.com, or you can even go online and Google athlete resumes or athlete profiles, and you'll see a variety of those come up if you select images. So let's take a look at what to include in each section. Here are the elements you need to have in this player profile. Of course, your name, athlete's name. The second section is a short headline that jumps off the page, which communicates something unique and impressive about you. This is the first thing the coach is going to see. For instance, baseball player, 87-mile-an-hour fastball and 3.6 GPA. So athletics and academics combined. That will get the coach's attention, cause him to read further. The next section you want to include is just your sport and your position. So we're not talking lots of detail right now. This is a coach looking at it, want to know if he wants to go further. Secondly, here's some information that you want to include in section 4 about you and your family, the basics about yourself. You can bullet point these things in section 4, and you'll see as I go through this list, this is a bigger section. You want your contact information. So you've got your address, your phone number, your email address, and a website if you have your information parked there, year of birth, graduation year, number of people in your family, number of children in college when you as an athlete will be entering. You put your GPA there, also your ACT score if you have it, and SAT scores if you have them. And there you go. You've got a quick reference guide. The coach can look at that, and there's the basic information that you've got for the coach. That's the first 4 sections. Your name, a short headline that jumps off the page, your sport and position, and then information about you and your family. Then we go into another section. Section 5 is your school and coaches. You want to include your high school. What high school are you at? Your coach's name, the phone at the office of the school, and then you've got your perhaps you've even got your coach's cell phone number, and you want to list that. That would be great too. And then you want to also indicate a summer coach or club coach, off-season coach, your secondary coach there, because that's a reference that college coaches are going to check, and his or her phone number. And that's just basic information. And I know many times that a college coach may go ahead and call the high school coach or club coach just to get some information about you. You want to make sure you include that. Easiest way to get a hold of them. If there's an email as well, include that in the coach information. And that way you're just being open, above board, and they'll get back to the coach if they contact them. The 6th section is what I call the physical information: your height, weight, speed, your strength, if that data and information is available. If it applies, your dominant hand. If you're a swimmer, who cares, right? And other sports that you compete in. By the way, some people asking, how about if we're shooting for scholarships in multiple sports? Do we have to do this for each of those sports? Well, the answer to that is yes. Yes, you don't want to combine sports when you do your recruiting. You got your work cut out for you. You've got to do it twice or 3 times. Oh boy. But anyway, I know athletes that do that. I know families that do that. It's a tough job, but the truth is there are athletes at this level who are really going to be able to compete at the next level, are oftentimes talented in 2 or 3 sports. Here's the 7th section. Now, there's 3 more sections I want to give you. 7, 8, 9 are, these are narrative sections. They're not long because you only have like 3 lines to be able to include these narratives. And section 7 is a narrative summary of your general strengths as well as team and league information. And this is where you can also mention other sports that you compete in if you haven't mentioned it in section 6. Section 8 is a narrative, again, of special stats, specific stats and achievements. That's where you brag about yourself, telling the coach about everything you do well and backing it up with the stats. You don't have much space, which is good because coaches don't want to read page after page, and you got to make every word count, just like that intro email I talked about in the last episode. And then the section 9 is your potential, a narrative again. What do you expect to achieve in the coming year? It's a good spot for a quote from one of your coaches. It's much easier for your coach to applaud you and share how great you are and project your future success than you can. The third-party recognition is great. It's also a stronger comment when your coach is validating your potential. And that's where you want to put that in section 9. So 3 narrative summaries. 1 is of your general strengths. Secondly, your specific stats and achievements. And 3rd, your potential. Again, this becomes really clear if you go ahead and pull the template that I have for you on my website at recruitme.com. So you go ahead and use that. I've got also I've got a sample of this in my book, the Athletic Scholarship Playbook, and I encourage you to get a hold of that if you don't have that already. And of course, the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship System. This is that do-it-yourself, step-by-step process. There is one more section. That's your photo. So include a photo. I encourage you not to use a photo in uniform or in competition. Personalize it more. A photo in your street clothes would be best, but that's really up to you. So those are the 10 sections of your player profile or resume. And you might be confused now as you listen to that, say, wow, that was really hard to get if I can't see it. And that's why I encourage you to go ahead and make sure that you download the template so you can look at it and then re-listen to this podcast if you don't have the template already. What you want to do at this point is you want to send your email, your intro email, and your profile together to the coach. We used to send these through the mail together, print them out and send them, but all you need to do is send the intro email and the body of the email, and then you've got your profile as an attached document. So you send them together and get them to those schools. Make sure you personalize each one. Personalize the body of your email. Please do that. That's so key. That sets you apart from other profiles, letters, emails that coaches are getting. You want to make sure you stand out in a good way. Coaches will likely respond to you by email and send you some information depending on what year you're in and what they're legally able to send you. And I encourage you to check out the recruiting calendars to find out for your sport how a coach can respond to you. I believe it was a couple episodes ago I had all the links to things like that. If not, I'll go ahead and put those in there again. I don't want you to be disappointed if the coach doesn't respond like you'd hope they would, but it depends on what year you are in high school, how they can respond. So your homework this week is, of course, you guessed it, to build your one-page profile or resume. Take a stab at that. This may take a couple hours, 3 hours. Work at it as a parent and athlete, or athlete if you just want to go for it, go for it. If there are a couple sections you can't fill in, but you've got all the rest, do that. This doesn't have to be perfect yet. Get that first draft. We're just trying to push you along here in these episodes of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. So that is your homework. Build your one-page profile or resume. Go ahead and download on my website, recruitme.com, the Recruiting Power Pack, so you have a template to work from, and that'll help you out big time. All right? So there we go. That's Recruiting Basics. We got more to go. Not too many more. That was episode 5 in a series of 8. I believe I can do it in 8 episodes, and we're going to see you all the way through. I don't want to make this complicated. I believe I've made it pretty simple so far. In the final 3 episodes, you're almost there building what you need to build in order to start the conversation, and then we'll talk about continuing that conversation. Well, that's it for now. I'll talk to you next week.